Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my podcast again. And this is Kevin. This is Kevin from the Center for Responsible Tourism Singapore. And this podcast, I want to talk about green events. We already had one podcast talking about this topic, but today I want to go in a little bit deeper and talk about maybe one or two specific criteria that is normally found when we audit events, when we look at how environmentally friendly or how sustainable an event is. And one of the criteria that you will usually find when we talk about sustainable events or green events is the usage of water. Many events require water to be used. There's a lot of water used, especially in some events where you have food and drinks, where there is a lot of cleaning up, where the number of attendees expected is a bit higher. How do you then work out a way where the usage of water can be reduced? How do you work with your suppliers? For example, do your suppliers also have processes in their making of the products that they supply to you? Do they have labels that tell you that the usage of water is controlled? And on site during the actual event, what kind of activities do you have? Do you have activities that use a lot of water? One of the things that these days you find in quite a lot of events is also the limiting or the reduced use of plastics. In fact, some events have gone to the extent of banning the use of plastics. For example, discouraging people or stopping people from using or buying plastic bottles. Single-use plastics have been in the discussion in many countries. And so there are events now that encourage people to bring in their bottles, and there are refillable stations for water for the attendees. And the last thing I want to talk about is wastage, food waste and non-food waste. Many events these days are also concerned about waste, food waste and non-food waste. Trying to accurately forecast for food is always a challenge, because sometimes there may be more or sometimes there may be fewer people coming than expected or than sign up for. So catering the right amount of food is often a challenge. There are a few things that event organizers have done or have tried to do to reduce this problem. One is to cut down on the amount of food that will be made available to attendees. The other one is encouraging people to bring their own food. And when that is not possible, trying to design a menu or trying to have food that is served on site during the event, food that if it is unconsumed is easy to be sent to places like charity homes. There are organizations in certain parts of the world where they work with events in the sense that they will purchase food that is left over, as long as the food is the kind of food that can be reserved. So they will purchase the food and they will send this leftover food to places like charity homes when it is not so appropriate to be served to people. Some of this food will actually be sent to farms. So trying to manage waste, has been a challenge, and trying to manage waste, both food waste and non-food waste, has become a very important criteria, something that many events have been putting in the effort to try to reduce. I thank you for listening to this podcast, and I'll be back to talk about more on green events. And I hope this 5 minutes and 33 seconds is helpful. Have a good May Day, and I will see you again.